So thanks everyone for joining this session, this third session of the webinar series from Metabuilding Labs. Today we have Agnese Riccetti, PMO of EcoWise, and Emre Yöntem, that is the CEO of the EcoWise as well. They will present the leveraging digital product passport functionalities and digital building logbook from the Metabuilding platform. So please, the floor is yours. I will be muted. I will interact if any question arises from the chat.
Thank you, Tommaso. I will share the screen and give it a go to this third webinar. Let me first thank R2M and Big Commons for organizing within the Metabuilding Labs project this series of webinars. EcoWise has been hosting already 2 of them. This is the second one, and we're very pleased to be here again to share the Metabuilding platform services, and in particular, one of the services today that is the digital product passport. So I will try to, yes, a few items that we will see today. This is the agenda, so a small welcome and intro, and then we will deep dive into the project and the platform, and then I will leave the floor to Emre to talk you that will illustrate the DPP and also the DBL, the Digital Building Logbook. Then we will have some time and we will leave the floor to you, to the audience, for some questions. Before we start, just a tiny bit about us. Tommaso has already introduced myself. My name is Agnese Riccetti. I'm the head of PMO for EcoWise. We are a digital solution provider that is specialized in product information and life cycle data management. We're based in London with an active office as well in Turkey. We have over 20 years of experience in circular economy and sustainable solutions and consultancy and software services. We work globally in Europe and beyond. And since 2018, we are also focused in the delivery of our software service platform, now branded as EcoWise platform. We're also active in several research and development projects. On the right, you can see a list of few of them, one of which at the top, of course, is Metabuilding Labs, for which we developed the Metabuilding platform. A little bit about the Metabuilding Labs project. So you will see during the presentation the acronym MB quite often. That stands for Metabuilding. The MB Labs project is an Horizon 2020 project aiming to help the European SMEs to utilize their innovation capacity, meaning bringing the innovations from an idea to the market. It started back in 2021. And it is about to end soon, but it will go beyond for sure with the Metabuilding platform. The consortium is composed by 40 plus partners, and we're spanning in 13 countries. This is a slide that aims to show the Metabuilding ecosystem. As you can see, is what we call the OITB ecosystem, so Open Innovation Testbed. We provide technical support and is all over Europe and beyond, as you can see. So it's a geographical ecosystem that is also expanding. And as a reflection of the geographical and physical ecosystem, we have also a virtual space, which is the Metabuilding platform. The Metabuilding platform has been created initially in a previous project called the Metabuilding, and it went beyond within the Metabuilding Labs project, providing specific services for innovation and innovative product. At a glance, I will just guide you through the Metabuilding platform, but I would like to remind that the extensive presentation of the platform and the services is within the webinar too. And I'm sure that Tommaso will at the end also share where this information and the webinars can be viewed and recorded. So here I'm just giving a very quick overview. To connect the Metabuilding platform, it's just the address online is there at the top, www.metabuilding.com. The registration and the login is open and free of charge. You can register your organizations, and of course, there is a due diligence check before an organization is accepted. At the present time, we are almost 400 organizations. You can see 30 plus clusters, and each of the organizations in cluster are daily sharing innovation services and opportunities. So the invite is, of course, if you're not part of the ecosystem, is to register as soon as possible. Registration is easy. You can either register creating your organizations from scratch, or if your organization is already there and you want to enter as a member of the organization, you can opt for the join organization function and simply join, entering your credential. In addition, the platform gives the opportunity to individuals to link also your ORCID ID and LinkedIn profile, so to be viewed. Moving to the next slide, I'm listing here just the ecosystem services that are on the platform. It will be easier to scroll them through the platform anyway. Sorry, there is a search menu. But basically, what the Metabuilding platform offers is a service to funding opportunities. So to find funding opportunities that could suit your organization or your cluster. Also opportunities for collaboration in finding new partners, for example, or new collaborators for joint ventures. It can be your window or an opportunity to find new products and innovation. And it could also give the opportunity to find clusters and innovations in ecosystem. So you will see, you can have the opportunity to join clusters that are already engaged in some specific work or fields in the construction sectors. On top of the basic services, there are two special Metabuilding Lab services. One is focused on finding the right innovation and testing support. So the Metabuilding platform displays a series of test services and test facilities that could be used for your innovation to speed up the way to the market and to commercialization. In case an SME or an innovator is not familiar with this testing path or procedure, there is also the opportunity to request assistance via an innovation coaching services. As I said, these parts that I've just illustrated have been fully illustrated in the webinar number 2. So here is just an overview. If you're interested in whatever I've shown so far, feel free to refer to that webinar. Or, of course, contact us as per the final slide at the end. I think at this point, I'm happy to pass the floor to Emre. And Emre, please, I will move the slide, so feel free to say next.
Thank you. Let me try to share my screen. But 1 second, please. Okay.
Yeah, stop sharing mine.
Am I visible and full screen? And okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Right, perfect. So thank you for the opportunity, and again reflecting thanks to the R2M and eCommons and the Metabuilding team for generating this exchange environment. The reason we are very excited to talk to you today is that this is a very dynamic and rapidly moving and high demand regulatory and technical space. What you see in the screen also reflects that. And that nature of too many moving and very important parts in this domain makes collaboration and data and knowledge exchange very important and crucial. I am the founder and CEO of EcoWise, which is a tech company based in London and with an office in Ankara. And also I am happy to be one of the founding board members of the Metabuilding Association, which delivers both the environment we now operate in collaboratively, as well as which is also working on acting as a framework for future service delivery. What that means is that we are obviously aware that the both technological, regulatory, and market demand will quickly keep changing. But we wish to say that as Metabuilding and the network partners, we are ready to react to that, actually be ready for that, and future-proof our collaboration with any partners we have. So jumping to what we are presenting today, the ESPR, it's been 2 years now, as you may know, that the Eco Design for Sustainable Products Regulation is not for the construction and the built environment alone. It is more on sustainable products regulation, and it is more on what the European Commission will allow in its market to be delivered under what circumstances with the certain set performances for sustainability and visibility and transparency on the products. Obviously, a core component is the construction products, and the construction products, which is already highly regulated, as the CPR, the so-called Construction Products Regulation, which also relate or use the digital product passport mentioned in the ESPR as a vehicle for data exchange. As you will also know from the Green Deal and other mechanisms, we have both the levels or EU data dictionaries and taxonomies, and the Energy Performance for Buildings Directive, which is also looking at sustainable buildings and trying to look at or identify whole life cycle carbon capabilities, and also referencing of the materials and the products inside buildings using the digital product passports. So this whole framework is turning into an ecosystem, a framework of regulation and technical specifications. And that's why we have a lot to do here. I don't want to go too deep into the technical, the legislative and technical details of the digital product passport regulation. But what I wish to say is that there are multiple product groups, which I will share in the next slide, and there is a transition process. So it has started with certain things such as the cement or other components, and it will be a regulatory requirement for all products to have digital product passports to carry information about their technical specifications, declarations of performance and conformity, and additional use cases that will be attached to them that relate to circular economy and reusage and value creation of the materials inside them. So the product families have been listed and prioritized. There is an ongoing process for each of them, which will probably take us down to the end of this decade easily. But the idea is that the requirements for all product groups will then be identified by the standards and technical committees, and they will be required to be carried with every product that is in the market, that is being marketed or made available to the end users. And obviously, you will wish to have information about the lifecycle performance, as well as all set of requirements about the declaration of performance and conformity. And we are also looking at what amount of technical data is needed to be added into lifecycle related aspects such as circularity, as well as reusability and traceability of how or when the life cycle ends, the products are being treated. So this is a very important and critical process that is ongoing. For concrete, there's over 130 different data points that are needed for every product, for example, and they are just coming into force gradually. Another thing that is important is that every product is going to be identified. They will have to have an identifier. The GS1 standards, for which we're a partner of as EcoWise, is going to be one of the core providers of that capability. And on top of that, every operator and their facility will need to be identified as well. And for that identification, the European business wallets or similar technical capabilities will be also made available. As you may know, that's another legislation, and that is also being implemented starting from this year, that businesses in the EU will have their business identifiers, which is their business wallets, and those will be used for the economic operators identification schemes, which will then publish their product identification schemes and all the data that is attached to it. So as you can anticipate, or you probably know, but this whole regulatory framework is not only for humans to access documents, it is for future proofing of machine readability of these sets of data structures and the content in them. And things are moving very fast. So this month, we have recently learned that the first sets of classification systems for reaction to fire and resistance to fire with respect to CPR have been published. So we'll be happy to share those links or reach out to us. But the thing is, there's this concept of delegated acts. The delegated acts are the vehicles to carry additional information, the technical specification of these requirements. And the main regulatory framework is already there, the CPR, the SPR, but the delegated acts act as the fine-tuning and detailed specification of what is needed in particular use cases. So the digital product passport is the carrier of this information. It includes the identification as well as manufacturing and manufacturer information.
Emre,
yeah, sorry.
Sorry to interrupt. Just a very technical, silly thing. If
Yeah,
you
sure.
can hide at the
This one?
yes, because the slides couldn't be viewed. Thank
Okay,
you.
sure.
Please go ahead.
Yep.
Sorry to
No,
interrupt.
I'm glad. Thank you. Please do interrupt. I was worried you will say we don't see your slides since you started speaking or something, but I think that's not the case. So back to the DPP, the content is mentioned here, and you will have had the chance to read it by now. But the logic is that it is, I will mention, I think in a couple of slides, maybe just jump to them here. This is what it will look like, just a sample, but the important part is that the content is machine readable. So it is made for other software systems to access, process, and verify the content. And how you do the verification is the tricky bit, because that is defined by multiple additional delegated acts of the SPR regulation. So this is what a DPP is, and we're happy to announce and also inform you that the DPPs have been integrated into Metabuilding Labs. So what you can do is you can integrate, so the Metabuilding platform, as that it has been mentioned in the past webinars, allows the entry and publishing of your services and innovations and your products. And if a product you are marketing or announcing to the rest of the world with a lower technology readiness level or a market ready product, you are able to attach its digital product passport to that product in the Metabuilding platform. That allows you not just making it a web page that announces something like a post in the LinkedIn page, but you can add all the verified credentials to it that is needed for this formal structure. Of course, the commission doesn't ask you to enter them into the Metabuilding platform, but adding them there shows the credibility and that your digital maturity and readiness is there for this set of requirements that are coming. And additionally, we are ready to support you as Metabuilding to deliver and publish your digital product passports. And that is something we can always be happy to do. What you can do once you're inside it, once you're logged in, you have found your organization, your innovations and products page, and you can select what type of product. The products are innovations in digital, in Metabuilding platform. And once you have a link that is either in the EU registry or your own DPP service providers registry, you can add them in. If you do not have it, there is a form that allows you to inquire for support, and we have a service inside Metabuilding that supports you on that. Again, this looks like a web page, which it is, but the web page has the machine readable credentials, and those credentials are authorized or signed by parties that are formally eligible to do that. I am now jumping to the next stage where the digital product passports are potential feeders of the digital building logbooks. Of course, the digital building logbooks, as you know, is under the EPBD, and the recast of it are defined as a common repository of building data. And it is not for material purposes only. It is looking at, obviously, with the energy performance and multiple other aspects. But the idea is that the digital product passports will be used and will be fed into the digital building logbooks, which will also carry the life cycle global warming potential or carbon related metrics of the buildings. There are multiple levels you can do this. One is the obvious governmental level registration of a building or an asset, and just to get a performance certificate or a life cycle metric and attach it, like the EPREL electronics uses the EPREL stickers A, B, C, and they're stuck on your the digital home appliances. And obviously the EPC, the recent EPCs give you this capability and you will have your certificates. But what's happening is that you will be asked to deliver more information. And the benefit, the opportunity here is that if you have a framework of managing your product and their carbon data and consolidate them in a structured way in the building level, you can automate this. And this is obviously valuable for asset operators, housing organizations, and obviously large scale and mid-scale asset information processes. So the use case is not only just adding these products into the buildings, but the logic is that there's multiple workflows. And here what you're looking at is a concrete wall construction process, and we have the ready mix concrete, so they are coming in batches. We have the reinforcement bars attached to them. All of them will have their item level digital product passports, and things like pre-manufactured reinforcement bars will probably have their BIM objects, etc. And the logic is you can start tracing both the receipt of those components as well as all the quality assurance related things you will want to do. For example, the testing of the cube tests, as called, on the concrete walls can be carried out, and those can be logged into the building logbook as well. So it's not just giving a score of A, B, B, C, whatever onto your building, but it is also tracing the whole compliance at the component as well as the process level of your buildings. And that is something that can be done with the digital building logbooks in compliance with the digital product passports. And this is one of the strong capabilities. And obviously at the back end, we have the same digital identity management for individuals as well as the businesses that are delivering them. And these are not password and username based, they are electronic identities that you will probably have in your digital USBs or your mobile wallets in your telephones, and they will be used as a legal way to trace things. So the digital product passport that I have mentioned can go into the building, and what you can do is obviously what you see is just not the product information. You can trace it, you can look at all the events, and then you can create additional tags and information. And this is where the agentic or the AI-based capabilities start being useful. That means we are able to utilize this data for further analytical purposes, which I'll try to mention very briefly. A building logbook at the moment looks like this. This is from our Diamond project. We are working on the complete energy performance and maintenance management for the cooling units of the Barcelona supercomputer center. We call these core maintainable assets. One other thing is that we can look at the building model and extract the either design or as-built specifications, and that will turn into the digital building logbooks components. And those components will be then potentially attached to their digital product passports if they have some. If they do not have them yet, because this is an emerging demand in the regulatory space, what we do is we create other traceability metrics that identify those products and see how they are placed and positioned and monitored inside the building. We have additional compliance checklists for, these are automated, which I'll mention. We have maintenance updates, but these are also linked to the products and the events. So they're not like additional PDF documents or independent systems. They're all attached to one central location of information. And obviously carbon accounting and reporting can be automated and can be carried out quite rapidly. We can use BIM files or bill of materials or similar aspects, and we have a huge database, as you know, is available for those environmental performance declarations and other either sustainability and or circularity declarations of these materials. What we wish to say is, I'm approaching to the third part of my presentation. I think you've seen the regulatory framework and what is being done. We also now want to mention why we think at this moment of this evolution, we're at a very crucial time, and why we think Metabuilding and EcoWise can help you. You see, and you already know, that we have multiple regulatory and technical frameworks that are working on our built environment. So this is a huge domain. And on top of that, now we are adding the material and component data, and we're also looking at both the construction process as well as life cycle related events. So that means we are not only looking at how and why and under which regulatory context those data should be processed, we're looking at whole life cycle processes being shifted and potentially linked to the data frameworks that we are working on. And the important thing we want to emphasize is that for this whole evolving framework, data structures and technical standards are at a level of both maturity that is now able to support the interoperability as well as digital services being attached to them. What that means is that we have a huge network of technical and requirement standards, but they are now able to be referenced and be linked to each other. We created a map, and we'll try to show that. Well, maybe they say never do a demo, but I'll just look at what, okay. Okay, sorry, this is not the exact slides. So what we have done here is that we have developed we have created a map just for our analytical purposes internally. And we have looked at the regulatory, technical, and technology specifications and we're trying to understand where certain assets or capabilities stand. This is not even research. This is for our internal mapping of what to look at. For example, you can see that the digital product passports are linked to ESPR and CPR, and we have different technologies that allow them to happen or mobilize them. But what we saw is that once we entered all the related framework content, we have seen that the digital building logbooks can be connected to multiple different frameworks. We can find that it is a very central location in the whole framework. It doesn't have the same amount of technical standards that you would have for CPR or for the digital product passport, but it is a transformative vehicle to carry and consolidate all that information. Why I'm referring to that is the following. But by the way, we have created a knowledge hub for this, which will be also shared inside the Metabuilding platform, but this is a new product. So with all the moving parts, there's a lot to look at. But why am I linking this to the agentic or autonomous potential services? If we just take a step back, and of course, you can put AI into every sentence now, and it will try to make a sense. But I'll mention that there are 4 layers. The infrastructure one is more on the processes and of course the telecommunication networks. Then we have the models that you already know. You use one or the other, and you shift from opus this to opus that, and you compare, even make our LLMs talk to each other. But they all are dependent on the data layers and the domain knowledge. So I wish to say that I think both us as EcoWise and the Metabuilding ecosystem, as well as potentially those that are listening us now, we are here at the data management as well as the value creation layers. And as you can imagine, the above will be at the hands of very large corporates, and they will be at the hands of both investments and technological advancement, probably more at the GPU and chip level, and the LLMs are now even developing themselves. But the data we manage and how we manage it is what I tried to present very recently. We are looking at a huge network of, or a framework of, regulatory and technical standards, and that is a very valuable asset. And obviously, as you can imagine, those who work on the value creation also work on the standards definitions such as ourselves as EcoWise. We're both domain experts, but also we help write standards, and as we know, most of you are involved in that as well. That brings us to the 4th level, the domain knowledge and the skills creation. I think this is where all of us are contributing and obviously are also benefiting the value generated by the domain experts. So there's a huge amount of expertise and skills that are now being automated, and with the data structures that I mentioned, this is possible. And I'm trying to say the digital product passports and digital building logbooks are the 2 entry and management points, and obviously Metabuilding is trying to provide you that. So the problem, what does the expert knowledge mean? We are aware of the problems. We know which data or which kind of expertise and processes will solve it. Until now, not every data set, not everything that was happening in the construction, production of the materials, as well as maintenance and demolition, they were not linked. But now they are being linked, or there's the potential for them to be linked. We can automate the skills, what we have been doing in the past. This could be even Excel-based calculations or using certain tools for carbon calculations. These are now automatable. They can be linked to the certain algorithms, either deterministic or agentic ones. And because of our compliance to the data structures, they will be compliant to the regulations, and this creates the value. So this is the type of AI automation or agentic skill sets that will be creating the value for our processes. What can they be? So we're looking at interoperability and semantic readiness. the whole work of the project we mentioned at the beginning, which is called Surpass2, which is the flagship digital product passport piloting project, the main purpose is data interoperability. It is not just how would you do a DPP or there's a standard. We're trying to build things in a way that they will be able to talk to each other. And these talking capabilities are not obviously only for humans. They are semantic interoperability capabilities which will allow our algorithms or our upcoming AI capabilities, as one might call it, add meaning or extract the meaning and provide the value. Compliance nativeness means we do not find a huge set of data and try to dig it at the time of reporting. We manage and accumulate the data in a structure that allows everything to be compliance native at any given time. That could be for the regulatory metrics, that could be for reporting to certain authorities, but it is not a test that you take at a certain time in a year, but it's something you're dynamically compliant to. Plug and play automations for those services that we have now, which we can deliver you, such as the reporting, compliance checks, as well as new and emerging ones. Assume you're a startup or you have a startup in your ecosystem and they're saying, I can do this only if I had connectivity to that data. And an asset owner or a product manufacturer will now have that capability because they are streamlined with this interoperable structure. Trust is key here. At the age of AI, you just don't say, hey, AI, this is my question, this is my data, give me an answer, because you don't actually know where that data is going. Even if you are creating your vector databases or internal RAG systems that are just type of AI systems, eventually when you have an API that reaches out to a large language model provider, layer 2 of the AI structure, you don't know what is really happening with that data. But the new technologies are emerging. We can have closed systems, LLMs operating for us. We can train our certain services in closed doors. And we also have the so-called data vault. So what we're providing to our clients now these days, which is in high demand, is that a service called the data vault, where their data remains on their side, but we bring the automation or the services to them. This leads to context management. So your data, your knowledge is still yours, and you only want information to be managed within that, and that is possible. Of course, the outcomes can be automated reports, services, and complete visibility to your organization. It doesn't have to be shared with the rest of the world because you're using an AI or cloud-based service. It is still your data, still your asset. And we provide the human in the loop capabilities. At this moment, Metabuilding and EcoWise, we have this network of innovation coaches, as well as additional capabilities that provide services that use this software as long as needed, meaning gradually you can extract the human in the loop as long as you trust the data and you're going to sign and submit it to those officials. And that will add not only value, because it is precisely done in the certain way the humans have educated it, but it will also add, obviously, cost benefits to you. And this all leads to a reliable set of digital transition. This is not only something we've been speaking since the internet started some 30, 40 odd years ago, but now it has come to a level where this interoperable framework is able to allow you to rely on not just one vendor, one service provider, but use some knowledge and some experts that provides you those roadmaps, and then you set up your individual, either you are an asset manager, construction company, production manager, you set up your framework that allows this transition, but not just relying on one software vendor or service provider. So that's the value of all of this digital and I want to say also green transition capabilities. Wrapping up, The digital product passports, we mentioned them. They are the key enablers at the material and component level. The digital building logbooks obviously are not only just consolidating that data, but they allow you to create portfolios and create values. And then we have this additional layer of services that come on top of that. And these were, of course, talking to the European Commission or any other users in the market. This is not something only EcoWise or Metabuilding will provide. This is what the future will be. This is where the benefit to all of the end users will be. So what does Metabuilding want to say to you today is that we want to act as Metabuilding and the Metabuilding platform as your access point for this support. So as we mentioned at the early stages in the past webinars, that we have a service and innovation coaching network. These are filled with entries or the records of people who can support you with your daily needs on either what I mentioned, or you could have another process that relates to testing or compliance of a certain material with respect to a certain regulation. We'll find you that expert as well. Today's topic is the digital transition processes, and I'm happy to say we are able to provide that support from the Metabuilding platform as a service. Just reach out to us. And the logic is, the way we operate is that we want to hear about your needs on the data management and the compliance. We provide you not an expert, but also a pre-tested and reliable set of technology stack. And that technology stack is potentially going to be vendor agnostic. So it can be from a Metabuilding lab perspective or a Metabuilding platform perspective. It is an advisory framework of what technologies and what compliance layers is going to be helpful. And then we can, of course, put you in touch as Metabuilding or as EcoWise. We can provide certain aspects of this with the right teams, with the right technologies, in a way that they have been verified, they have been tested in the European Commission level at certain either EU-funded projects or pilot projects or market-ready customer sales. We have those metrics, and then we eventually, as Metabuilding, are able to create value for the organizations you're working for. So this is what we wanted to share today, and I maybe dug a bit deep into the AI, a bit deep into the DPP requirements, but I just wanted to create this link of how this is possible, and it is the right time to invest in this at this moment. Call to action is just you can contact us, you can find us, and also you can see the EcoWise webpage. So both as the Metabuilding team and EcoWise, we're here to support and do our best on this journey that we're all needing to collaborate and together to finally achieve what is requested from us in the market. Thank you very much, and back to you, Agnese and Tommaso.
Thanks a lot, Emre. So if there is any question, please drop it in the chat. Meanwhile, I can just as Agnese anticipated, you can find the registration of this webinar as well as the previous ones in the metabuilding.com website platform, in the news section in particular, and also in our YouTube channel. So I see there is a question: should the DBL Italy contain all the documentation created throughout the detailed design process for the building? For instance, structural calculation or indoor climate simulation? Emre, Agnese?
Should it? No, it should. The regulatory requirements doesn't demand all of that to be obviously reported to the regional authorities as well. The reason we show that is that it is a vehicle that allows you to do additional calculations and services based on that. So the DBLs that we are piloting and providing to the market, or we can say selling to the market, they are almost never demanded for the regulatory requirement only, but we have a service that allows you to publish what is needed to the right authority at the right time, but our customers or our end users benefit from that for their own the value that I tried to mention, that the visibility, the traceability added, and much faster calculations, and also the cost that is transparently benefiting them. They see that, oh, there's an agentic service here. This team provides me that agentic service in a transparent manner. And what used to cost more for multiple assets now is automated. And I am also doing some share. I'm visible. I have visibility, and that adds value. For example, in England, we are using the logbooks to monitor heat network efficiencies, which is not actually, we use them, we have an asset logbook capability, and then we report to a heat network regulator using our services. So basically the answer is it doesn't have to have all that component layer level information. We just mentioned the potential and the opportunities that lies within that. Thank you.
Thanks, Emre. Is there any question? Other question? Let's wait 20 seconds. So I don't see any. So I will say thank you, Emre and Agnese, for this excellent webinar. And as usual, let's keep in touch. And for the participant, if you have any doubt, please reach out to us for any question concerning the digital logbook, the DPP, the Metabuilding project, and so on and so forth. And we close here. And thanks again.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.